this is Mr. Assassin, and I'm here today to do the 7 Deadly Sins side story. Now, this side story has 2 chapters, and I will cover both of the chapters in this review. It should not be a long review, but who knows? Let's just dive in the side story. So basically, this side story shows us part of Diane's life after she met with King and after King erased her memories, but before she met with Meliodas. So it's that time frame in which she returned to her village after King erased her memories and before she met with Meliodas to become part of the 7 Deadly Sins. And as you will see, this is very important for Diane character development. Very important. The story centers around a giant named Matrona, and as we get to see, this giant is the one who is training Diane and her friend Dolores. Now, the giant's clan that Diane is part of are actually mercenaries for hire, and people hire them to do certain tasks. Most of them are fighting. We see that the patrons of this giant's clan are actually the army of Lioness. Whenever the army of Lioness wants to engage the savages of the land, they employ giants in order to deal with the savages as quickly as possible and with fewer casualties as possible. Matrona is very bloodthirsty. She's a very bloodthirsty giant. When she's in battle, she becomes so encompassed within the battle, she no longer cares about anything around her except for defeating the enemy. Her belief system is that the giant's race is made to fight. They have no other purpose but to fight. And to die gloriously in the battle is what every giant wants. Of course, Diane and Dolores do not agree with her, especially Dolores, because Dolores is very kind-hearted and she doesn't even want to engage the other soldiers. Not to mention she doesn't want to kill them, but she cannot even punch them or do something to them. She's just basically a sitting target. At least Diane engages the soldiers. She doesn't kill them, but she hurts them so they cannot fight anymore. We also get to find out that the giants were the firstborn race. They were basically the firstborns, and they refused to follow any other race but their own. However, as I said before, they do hire their services for a great amount of money. But because the giants are so bloodthirsty, with the passing of time, their numbers have started to dwindle. Because it's like the giants have this gene inside them that makes them want to fight among each other, fight other clans, fight fairies, humans, demons. They just want to fight. They have a very violent race, and because of that, with the passing of the time, their numbers started dwindling. At this point in time, that there are fewer giant clans in the world than, I don't know, 10,000 years ago. We get to see a fight between giants. We get to see Matrona fighting the Rumbling Mountain Dumblebass, something like that. And from what we can see, she quickly dispatches of him. She finishes him very fast. And this guy was bleeding, had earth spears coming out of his back, out of his neck. And she goes to him and says this was a worthy death. Something every giant would desire, because that was her mantra. She believed that dying in a fight was the greatest thing that the giant could accomplish. When they get back, after the battle, they get back to their village, and of course Matrona schools Diane and Dolores, and she tells them that there is very little room in this world for giants who want to live a peaceful life. Basically because the humans and the other clans see them as freaks. They just don't integrate in the society. So a village of giants that are not centered around fighting, are centered around, let's say, agriculture and living a nice life is just not possible, because their numbers will grow so fast that the other countries, the other races will start fearing them. And that coupled with the fact that they cannot integrate in this world will lead to war. Basically, that's what she's saying. And Diane and Dolores do not understand that. They don't understand that concept. The giants were made to fight. That is their sole purpose. Because they are built to fight. Their bodies are that the magic that they use to strengthen their bodies and their muscles, to be better hunters, to be better killers. Matrona starts training them again. She quote unquote says, let's develop your backbone so they could fare better in the next fight. Now we see that Dolores does a skin harden, I don't know, she hardens her skin, basically her body, and Matrona punches her. She takes the punch but she vomits. Matrona tells her that the quality of her hardening is at base level her skin is like calcite, which is a very easy to break rock. It's not exactly a rock, it's basically calcium, but very easy to break. And then Diane makes her hardening, and it's a lot tougher than Dolores. But Matrona tells them that neither of them approach their full potential, because the elder of the Giants clan can harden their skin, their bodies, like diamond, to become as strong as diamond. So that's a whole new concept that has been introduced to the story. We didn't know that. That same night, Matrona talks to some of the clan members around the fire, and the clan members ask Matrona why does she put so much faith in Diane and Dolores, because they don't seem to be built for fight. Even though the parents of Diane have been the greatest warriors of that clan, she doesn't seem to be such a great warrior. Matrona actually tells them that within Diane there is a hidden power, a potential to become greater than anyone in that clan, anyone who ever existed. But she's just too nice in order to draw that power out. She doesn't have a backbone, she doesn't understand the concept of giants. Unfortunately, Diana overhears her talk that, and she decides to leave the village. She decides that she no longer wants to be trained to be someone's weapon. So she leaves the village and she was heading for Lioness when a bunch of guards, or I don't know, they look like guards but could probably be thieves, stop her and they ask her to pay some money for walking the road, because these roads were made by the Lioness soldiers, the Lioness builders, and she, being a giant, should not be able to walk on this road without paying a tax. Of course, I think she could have taken all of them out, but she doesn't want to hurt anyone, and might have, even though she had the power to deal with this guy, she might have actually gotten hurt if Meliodas didn't show up. Now Meliodas shows up and he takes care of these guys. He hunts some dinner for Diane, they both eat together. Diane fancies him, of course, she likes him. Meliodas tells her that he was looking for someone here, and he will be sticking around this area for a while, so perhaps they will see each other again. And they exchange pleasantries, they remember each other's names, and they both go on their paths. Diane returns to her village because she saw that people would not accept her. Those soldiers that wanted her to pay the tax considered her a freak, and she remembered that Matrona told them that. So she returns to the village, and when she returns to the village, she finds out that Dolores has been killed, because apparently Matrona has sent Dolores on a mission to fight against some mountain bandits, and because Dolores did not fight back, of course the mountain bandits killed her. Even though it was a disgraceful death because she didn't put up a fight, Matrona still says that it was the fight that any warrior could have wanted, because she died in a fight. And that was the last straw for Diane. She wanted to punch Matrona, the village protector, and of course she failed. She didn't punch her, she actually gets beat up, and they get into a conversation. Like, Diane says, I will fight to help, but I will not fight without a reason. The only way for me to fight against anyone is to protect somebody I love. unlike Matrona, who fights for money and fights for glory. And then she gets a picture of King in her mind. Somehow Matrona senses this, and she asks Diane, who did you just saw right now in your head? Because he is the one who has filled up your head with all this kind of stupid talk that you want a family, you want somebody to love, you can live a normal life. No, we are giants and the only thing for us is to fight. So right there we can see the difference in the way of thinking of Matrona and Diane. And Diane could see that there was no way to change Matrona's mind and no way to change her clan's mind. So I think in her head she realized that her clan was doomed to disappear because they were holding on to old traditions and old ways of life. And if they would have continued this fighting, one by one they would perish. And right then and there, Diane separated herself from the giants of her clan and in her mind became a standalone individual who desired nothing else but to find her own path. She goes up on a rock. But this is very important. She goes up on a rock and she finds a flower, the same kind of flower that King once gave her. And when she's looking at this flower, some memories stir in her mind. And some nice things that King said to her, like he will always be there for her. She remembers these words. She has no one to attribute these words to because she doesn't remember King. She has the words, but she hasn't got a face. And because of that, in her mind, she attributes those words to Meliodas. She thinks that perhaps Meliodas told her that when they met and it just flew by her, which sparks her love for Meliodas because those words that King told her were very sentimental and she loved King. King loved her. So those words would spark love in her heart, but without the face of King to remember, she attributed those words and the feelings of love to somebody else, and that was Meliodas. So that is how Diane started to love Meliodas in the first place. Then we jump to 16 years later, and apparently the lioness army has hired Matrona and Diane to do another job for them, to battle some savages. And when they arrive to the battlefield, the lioness army is already there in place, but there are no savages. Then suddenly Matrona hears something from the far battlefield, and she believes it is the enemy. So she does her earth attack. She hits no one, there was no one there. The sound moved in 90 degrees to the left in another direction, so she jumps over there to see what the sound is. And she falls into a trap. She falls into the hole on the ground which the Lionese army created. So apparently the Lionese army wanted to capture a giant and they were using this guy, the captain, who was able to make sounds wherever he desired. So that's what she was hearing. She jumped right into the trap. Of course, these guys did not anticipate that the giants are earth users, and actually putting her into a hole in the ground would not stop her because she can simply just raise the ground, and she does, and they start battling, and they were doing very well in the battle, but unfortunately one of the arrows passed through the earth defenses and was heading to Diane, and Matrona jumped in front of the arrow. It hit her in the leg, but apparently this arrow had so much poison that it could kill a dragon. And this is a very interesting concept because, again, in this story so far we have never heard of a dragon. It is the first time a dragon is mentioned. That's cool because we might get to see dragons in the future. But basically, she gets poisoned, she knows she was going to die, and she uses her last moments on this earth to try to force Diane to kill the soldiers. Matrona can clearly still control the earth, but she doesn't use the earth to kill the soldiers, she just uses the earth to protect Diane from the arrows. And Diane is crying. Matrona with her last breath tells her to avenge her, to kill everyone, and then even after this terrible shock, she cannot avenge Matrona, because she doesn't really have that thinking way. She doesn't think that way, and she cannot avenge her. Then Matrona realizes this, and with her last breath, with the last drop of power, kills the lioness army in order for Diane to escape. Now, of course, Diane, being a crybaby, doesn't escape, and the soldiers go back to the castle, bring reinforcements because they told the king that Diane poisoned Matrona and killed the soldiers because she has gone insane, and they bring Diane to the kingdom so they can chop up her head. And of course, Diane doesn't fight back, was ready to give up her life for a crime she didn't commit. But fortunately for her, Meliodas has convinced the king to recruit this giant into the 7 deadly sins. Meliodas basically saves her again. And that's the end of the side story. Now, from this side story, we get to see the life of Diane and the life of the giants clan and two different opinions about life. Because the giants from her clan were all about fighting and dying a glorious death, Diane was all about building a future a future for herself. So two different concepts. Now she's going to fight for Meliodas, and she's going to be able to fight for Meliodas because she loves her. She loves him because she loves King, which is fucked up, but in a way it works. It works for the story. That being said, that is a side story, a very interesting side story. I was very immersed in the story while I was reading it. Give me your opinions, rate, comment, subscribe, and have a nice day.
Any rational society would either kill me or put me to some use.